guys, how you doing? It has been a while, and that is almost entirely my fault. We are now, yeah. Oh, I've been shirking. Yeah, no, I've been rough as fuck. Is basically what's been going on. So you'll have to forgive me that I just have not had the energy to sit and chat. To be honest, today was a bit of I had to force myself, but I've put a face on. So I've made the effort, but it has been a while. So, slightly confusingly, we are now at 11 weeks today. But anybody who's actually sort of got eagle eyes and been paying attention, that means our date has changed. It has, because actually previously it was thought that Fridays were the day that I went from sort of 4 week to 5 week to 6 week. That's been moved. Because we've had another scan. And the other scan, obviously a little bit further along, so little bean was a bit bigger, so they could sort of measure it a little bit more accurately. And went, oh, you're not 10-1, you're 10-4. So that's changed, so our due date has changed. Our due date is now April the 6th. Which incidentally is also Chris's grandmother's birthday, so that'd be a good birthday present for Shirley.
Yeah, we thought we'd name it in her honour, didn't we? We thought we'd call it Nana's birthday shopping.
Little Nana's birthday.
Suitable for a girl or a boy, that one.
So yeah, so I'm 11 weeks today, and it's a Tuesday. I've been struggling. I think it's fair to say, isn't it? Like, I've been luckier than a lot of people because I haven't actually been throwing up everywhere, which is a blessing. Although there have been times when I really wished I could actually be sick, because I have felt sick constantly for weeks and weeks and weeks. Food has been an absolute chore. I have not wanted to eat anything really, and it's just been sort of standing there sort of tossing up, what can I bear to eat? Like, what do I think is least horrible rather than what's nice? Thankfully, I think I'm touch wood, I'm just turning a corner out of that now. So yeah, I'm starting to sort of very tentatively actually enjoy my food a little bit. I'm still not eating a lot, and it's still a bit touch and go because I still feel a bit but yeah, actually, like, with the right meal that I'm like, oh yeah, I actually feel like eating that. I have been able to sort of actually enjoy it, but I'm still finding sort of smaller meals, little snacks throughout the day is more manageable and better for nausea than sort of big hefty meals. But yeah, I've been so rough, guys. Like, and it, like, I would take it all. It's all good, and actually, it really is all good, because it means everything's progressing as it should, and hormones are raging as they should. But bloody hell, like, it's so difficult because it's like I can't tell people why I'm rough in general. But like, I've been so rough for so long that I've fallen off the face of the earth for most people. Thankfully, we're sort of in semi-lockdown, so I can sort of just be like, oh, we're just being cautious, and I can just sort of stay away.
Yeah, I don't know how people cope if they're in like a high-pressure job and they can't tell people they're pregnant for 12 weeks
Well,
and they're going into work and having to interact with
I
colleagues
wouldn't
and
be able to. I haven't been able to work. I have had to go in a few times, just sort of in a kind of there's no other option sort of way, and every time it's been tough. And so, because we're back open in work now, I don't know if we were open or if we were nearly open last time I was talking on here, but we are actually open now, which is brilliant. And thankfully, I've got sort of staff members who are able to sort of take the bulk of bookings, and I'm largely sort of doing what I can from home. But there have been whole weeks where I've not even been able to sort of realistically even do any work from home. I've been in bed or in the bath or just not up and about, and like, I'm so tired and so sick that just even thinking about work stuff has just been a real chore. But on the days when I have gone in, like, I've taken like one game, which is basically about an hour and a half, 2 hours work, depending on if the room's already set for it to go. And yeah, like, halfway through the game, I'm already like really flagging.
But you've been very uncomplaining about it.
Well, I'm not right now, am I? I'm
Well,
really going on about it
No,
right
I know,
now.
but like I wouldn't want people to think that this is typical, especially like when there's no way the players would have known that there's anything up, and
hopefully
even
not.
even during the games, you've been just kind of cracking on and getting it done. You haven't been sitting there sort of.
Chris has actually come in with me to a couple of games because I just sort of thought I need to have someone on hand in
Have
case
we
I need
explained
to
what your work
scarper.
is? It's the escape room. It's
I can't remember if we have,
Reports.
because we had our other vlog anyway, which we sort of talk about everything in.
Yeah.
I sort of forget what's been said in here and what hasn't. But yeah, so I run escape rooms.
it's #1 for fun and games in Newport.
Book us, guys. We could do with a custom. We've been closed for a few months,
And
don't you know?
everything's all sanitised, and groups of 6 is fine. Just coming in groups of 6. You won't even have to worry about social distancing from other groups because there won't be any other groups in the room with you.
I do appreciate the plug,
It's-
but
well-
that's not really what this vlog's about.
No, I know, but I think it's like we have to pay for this child somehow.
Yeah, that's
we need
true.
to pay for like
Yeah, do
nappies and
please.
that. So,
www.escaperoomsnewport.co.uk.
yeah, I think it's worth getting out there that like it's a good thing to do if you're worried about social distancing and lockdown. You're literally kept at a distance from the member of staff who introduces you. Then they'll be outside of the room, you'll be inside it. So you'll just be with your own team of people you brought with you. There won't be other patrons there.
You have to be in a household with anyway now, like Welsh rules.
So there won't be other patrons there or anything like that. So it's very good actually for.
Oh yeah, for something to do indoors, we've made it sort of as safe as humanly possible. So it's all good. But yeah, so
Yes,
in
you
terms
might
of
still
sort
just
of
have a heart attack or something. That's on you. If you've been clogging your arteries for decades, we can't help you.
no, I can't do anything about that.
Says me.
But yeah, so it's just been tough. So yeah, like just pregnancy symptoms wise, it's a real roller coaster, guys. But the main challenge is just really that I can't sort of express to people. Like obviously, I have told a few sort of inner circle folk that I would tell if it all went wrong or anything. But I can't just sort of explain to people, like a few people like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, yeah, good. I'm like, no, I'm really rough, but I don't want to say I'm not well because I don't want people to assume it's my fibro and be like, oh, I'm having a bad spell, because I don't want to ever mislead people about that, because it sort of feels like you're being disingenuous. Totem's meowing now if you can hear a cat, sorry. So sort of being cagey with people, and people sort of want to make plans, and I'm like, yeah, maybe. No. So I'm really looking forward to just getting past that 12-week mark where I can just go, hey guys, here's the thing.
And hopefully you're going to start feeling a bit better anyway, but it just also just can explain it. Because the other thing is, like we mentioned, we do like another vlog, which if you're new to us here with this baby vlog, it's like a daily lockdown vlog that we started at the start of lockdown, and we sort of stopped doing it daily at basically at about the same point that Ellie became pregnant or realised
it was
pregnant.
just before we'd sort of, because the reason we stopped doing them daily was because we were sort of out of lockdown. We were both back in work.
Yeah, so that was the feeling was like, well, people are going back to normal and I have to get back to work and things, so we will. Well, I don't think I'd actually had a first shift.
No, I don't think you were. I think I'd popped in and it was on the horizon.
But we weren't planning on stopping that vlog. No. We were still going to keep kind of doing it, just not every single day. And our plan was maybe 3 times a week. And since then, we've done about 2.
Yeah.
And
I feel bad because I really enjoyed doing them.
And there were people watching, and every day we had like a little following. It wasn't anything grand, but people actually seemed to be enjoying it. And we said, yeah, we're going to keep doing these. And then we've just kind of abruptly...
really quiet.
Yeah, and it
feels
feels like we've been a bit...
I definitely couldn't do that vlog and not
That's it.
talk
We've
about
barely
it.
been able to do this one because you've been feeling so rough. But at least this one you can go, oh, guys, I'm feeling rough. And it's fine. But with that one, you would have to try and hide it.
I'd have to lie. And I'm not comfortable sort of
And we talked about all sorts
people.
of like topical newsy things. So you wouldn't have to just act like you're okay, but you'd have to be switched on and have done the usual kind of research and things that you've just not been feeling up to and also like feeling a bit grotty. You don't necessarily want to keep in touch with what's going on in the outside world.
No.
In the current climate.
As part of my needing to look after my mental health, to be honest, I have stepped away from being as involved in sort of looking into current affairs as normal, just because obviously baby on the way is a daunting and big thing anime. Baby on the way during a global pandemic added levels of going on there. So there have been days where I've just gone, I can't deal with that, so I'm just gonna not. And yeah, so it's been sort of it's been tough, guys. I would say, like, I'll take the rough with the smooth, and I will take it. Like, although it has been rough and it has been a challenge, and I have struggled, because obviously I've been coming off my fibro meds as well, with every pregnancy symptom under the sun. And loads I didn't, I'll get back to that, but loads I didn't even know were things to expect. So strap in, because crikey. But like, yeah, with everything going on, it's been tough to just get through it. But it does all mean that everything's going well. Like, it means that the pregnancy is doing what it should. It means that everything's healthy. And yes, so on Saturday, we went back for another scan. Now, both of these scans that we've gone for were done privately, largely to reassure me, also because it's really nice. It is really nice to sort of have that reassurance, but also have that sort of quite grounding moment where you can see the baby, and then it becomes very real. And so the first scan we had was at, well, it was dated then, the best estimate was at 6 weeks 1 day, which, as we now know, was probably about 6 weeks 4 days. But to be fair, it was about the size of a grain of rice then, so measuring that's quite tricky to be precise enough, which is why she did sort of say dating scans, particularly within the first 12 weeks, can sort of shift either way by a few days, just because it's sort of quite hard to get a perfect angle and quite hard to measure it precisely. And as things go along, obviously you can sort of, as things get bigger, they're easier to measure. So yes, so I was actually really pleased. So on Saturday when we had the second scan, she sort of went, oh, actually you're a little bit further along, you're 10 weeks 4 days, which for me was just like, yay. Firstly, that means I'm a little bit closer to the sort of 12-week mark, which means the two things. 12 weeks is sort of when we can announce and I can stop being so fucking secretive, but also it's kind of when you're out of the danger zone. Obviously, you're never 100% safe during pregnancy. It's quite a mad, crazy roller coaster for your body to go through, and nothing's ever 100% safe. Obviously, bad things can happen, but once you're past 12 weeks, that's basically the vast majority of pregnancy loss happens in the first 12 weeks. And that's quite common in the first 12 weeks, and it's much less common after that, and usually for other reasons which sort of vary as to why, but it's much rarer. So that's usually why the rule of thumb is don't tell people until 12 weeks. So basically it meant I was a bit closer to that 12-week mark, which was good. I was happy about that. And yeah, it just sort of meant I'm a little bit further along. So that's just, obviously it's only a matter of 3 days, but it makes a difference when you're kind of every day you're looking at how many weeks am I now, how many days am I now, and you're sort of constantly waiting for that next landmark. So scan was lovely. Scan was really cool, because yeah, the first time we were looking at a dot in a circle, basically a big dark circle with a little sort of white dot in it. Whereas this time, oh, head, arms, legs, wriggling about and everything. It was very exciting. Like, she said, because little Bean was nestled right in against sort of the edge of the sack. Doesn't sound very nice, does it? Sack, but sort of nestled in right at the edge, all cutchy, but was wiggling his little legs. I say his, we don't know. Some days I say he, some days I say she, some days it's it.
She kept saying things like, "Oh look, you can see that it's really nestled against the edge. Oh, it's more tucked in than a lot of." So, and you could
snug
tell,
as a bug in a rug. She kept.
You could kind of tell from the way she was talking, well, she's seen a lot of these, and she's kind of making comparisons in her mind to other ones, which makes sense because this is the way she makes her living. It would be suspicious if she had not seen many. But,
yeah, and if she had, oh, never seen that before, not comforting.
No, but the way she was talking about it, you could tell she was kind of comparing it to other ones she'd seen, and you sort of go, I wish I could see other ones to kind of compare against, so I could kind of have a better understanding of what she means. Of like, oh, it's more like this than.
Yeah, well, it was because when we first sort of see it come up on the, well, it's actually like they project it onto the wall, so they turn the lights off in the room you're in, and it's a big screen. And so yeah, little Bean was sort of nestled in right up against sort of the edge, all cozy looking, but they were sort of wriggling his little legs. And she said, oh, you're getting a lot of movement, which is good for this sort of stage, because usually you don't get a lot of movement when they're only little. So she was very positive. I'm sure she's quite a positive lady anyway, but she did sort of say everything is going along absolutely textbook was the phrase she used, and that it was really good that we were getting some movement. Said little Bean was showing off, which I will take. I will have a little show off. Takes after mum, that's fine. You're a bit of a show off too, actually. That's
What?
Yeah, you're a stand-up comedian, dude.
Not lately.
Not lately. Well, none of us are doing a lot of what we normally do lately, are we? But
not with the current guidelines in Wales.
No. But yeah, so it was really lovely. But yeah, sort of seeing a little head and little hands and little wriggly moments with the legs was really like, made my heart hurt in a nice way. And yeah, we did a really probably quite naff and probably quite cutesy thing, which I think will divide people between, oh, that's lovely, and oh my god, that makes me want to vomit. I think it's lovely, but I fully acknowledge it is a bit naff. But we got the heartbeat recorded in a bear. So the heartbeat also was textbook. It was 167 beats per minute. At 10 weeks gestation, you want to be around 170. So basically, perfect.
It was slightly less heartbeaty than the first heartbeat we heard.
How do you mean?
Like the first time, my memory of the first heartbeat we heard was more of a badum.
Yes,
badum,
it wasn't as slow as that, but yeah, it does get faster.
It sounded, and that's whereas this is a very kind of intense thing that you almost wouldn't know it was a heartbeat if someone didn't tell you.
It sounds like a gallop. Well, I've got the bear, so I will play it for you. But yeah, the first time, because I was reading about this, because I do a lot of reading about this. I do a lot of just absorbing as much information as I can about all of this. But yeah, when the heartbeat first kicks in, it's sort of around about usually 120 beats per minute, which for an adult would be incredibly high, but for a baby that's gestating, that's fine. That's literally when the heart is just forming. So at that point, it's only got 2 chambers. By now, it's got all 4, and it's the fastest it'll be at sort of the most course of the pregnancy. Now, it will settle down to about 130 beats per minute, give or take. Once we're a bit further along, but it's just formed the heart has just finished sort of becoming exactly how it should be, and it's going hell for leather. So yeah, it sounds like a little galloping horse. It doesn't really sound like what you'd think of as a heartbeat sound, but it is clearly like a rhythmic beating sort of. So here is Bear, so hopefully you'll be able to hear this. So yeah, that's little Bear.
So do we give the bear to the baby to play with when it's old enough?
I guess so. I don't really know. I kind of want to keep it.
It's your bear.
It's my bear.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess that makes sense. But yeah, it's what I could potentially do is you can take out the heartbeat thing, and we could keep that as a separate memento and just give the bear.
Is there a way of taking the heartbeat thing out and plugging it into anything to record it?
I don't know.
Is the battery replaceable?
I don't know.
These are all questions.
Yeah.
Right,
we'll look into. Oh, not suitable for children under 3 years old. So we definitely can't give it straight away to the baby. So mummy can keep it for 3 years. But yeah, so that's a little bit. So now that I fully acknowledge is not to everybody's taste. The main reason I wanted that is I wanted the heartbeat. I wanted to have that recorded, because the first time when we heard that was a real oh my god moment, which was just elated me. I was so happy with that. That then I was like, oh, I wish I had that to listen back to. So the second time we went, I was like, I'm gonna add that on. I sort of looked at their other things they offer, and they offered it, but you couldn't just record it. It was like, you can have a heartbeat bear. So I was like, well, I'll have a heartbeat bear. Actually, we could have had a heartbeat elephant or a heartbeat rabbit. So we went for the bear. But that was lush. I love that I've got that. I can listen to that. It makes it very real. And I've spoken to a few friends who've had babies, and there's lots of little things along the way that just sort of help you along with the anxiety. And I think thinking about the fact that it's got a little heart beating in there, that's amazing. That's awesome. And until really you get to the stage where you can feel any movement, which isn't going to happen anytime soon, if you're lucky, like you might be able to sort of feel some movement at around about like sort of 16 weeks, but that won't feel like baby kicking. That will, by all accounts, sort of feel like a slightly strange fluttering sensation. Thus only as it progresses you realise, oh, that's actually baby. So I'll be feeling out for it, but it's not going to be at the stage where it's like, oh, I can really feel baby wriggling about for a while. And basically until you get to that stage where you can feel baby moving, like you'll just kind of, I'll drive myself crazy with like, is everything okay? Am I definitely still pregnant? And like, I don't know why I do that to myself, because I'm definitely really fucking pregnant, guys. like so fucking pregnant. So many things happen to you, like, and not every woman will have a different experience with pregnancy. So it is important to say, if you are watching this and you're expecting or trying, don't panic if you're not having any of these symptoms. In fact, perhaps you are just one of those lucky goddess people who were just built for making babies, and you just sail through it symptomless and glowing the whole time. And if you are one of those, hats off to you.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yes, because yeah, you might, and some people do, basically have no symptoms and fly through everything, and it's all perfect. So not having symptoms does not mean there's anything wrong at all. And having some and not others, still fine. I appear to have all of them. Just every single, like, loads of weird stuff has been happening to my body. And I've been like, is this a pregnancy thing or is this just weird? And then I found out that they're pregnancy related things. And I'm just like, nobody tells you these things. And it's like, and then I'll say it, and usually I'll say it to one or other of my friends who've had kids. And they go, oh yeah, that's a thing. And I'm like, no, like I thought sore boobs, feeling sick or being sick, and being tired, I thought they were basically, and later on in pregnancy, needing to pee all the time, back hurting, those sorts of things. They were the kind of things that the cliche things that you know about. I did not know that pregnancy can induce eczema. So I spent a good week and a half with scaly, spotty, itchy boobs. So thanks for that. Which I have been treating with coconut oil. So Chris has had a delightful show every evening of me just slathering my boobs in coconut oil.
It's been a tropical time.
Thankfully that's settled. But yeah, allergies kind of get a bit sort of hypersensitive in pregnancy, and what I think actually that was a bit of eczema, but it was triggered by, I'd bought some new bras because I needed new sports bras, because can't really go, I am braless at the moment, but couldn't really go braless because my boobs were so painful that I needed them sort of strapped down and held still, because even to go up or down the stairs I was having to carry them, like, and hold them down. And so I bought a few new bras. I think it was a bit of a reaction to the new bra. I think a little bit of an allergic reaction. But yeah, so itchy boobs. So that was nice. I don't think that's, by the way, designated only to boobs. It's just happened to be where mine was. But thankfully that's settled down now. But it looked grim. And it felt grim. It was really itchy. Sneezing all the time, which I think I mentioned I was getting last time, that has gone mental, and that is in for the long haul. That is apparently until about a few weeks after I give birth, I'll probably be sneezy. But that's just a little annoyance, it's not really a big deal. My skin is dry and flaky and gross. I'm not even halfway done. Yeah, like, apparently, basically, although I'm extra thirsty, and you make, like, I'm carrying like about 50% more blood than I normally do, 40 to 50% more blood. So extra blood flow to everything, but it does mean that basically all hydration in your body goes, fuck you, you don't need it, baby needs it, straight to baby. And so my hands and feet particularly, but all of my skin, even like on my face, I've noticed like flaky skin.
What I would say is that, like, when you say your skin is dry and gross, like, I'm not,
just feels gross to me.
He's not to you. I'm not saying it doesn't feel dry and gross to you. I'm not trying to say it isn't, but what I'm saying is it is not to a level that affects those around you. People aren't looking at you with disgust.
Well, I hope not, because I'm not even finished being disgusting. Yeah, increased body odour. Get that one, guys. That's lovely, isn't it? He also claims he hasn't noticed that, but I fucking have. Now, there's two things going on there. My nose is more sensitive because pregnancy nose, which also I did know was a pregnancy thing. Sensitive to smells, I did know. So it may not actually be that it's as bad as I think, but I'm more attuned to it. But yes, increased body odour, being slightly musty. Sexy. It's such a beautiful time, guys. But yeah, so I'm spending, because my back's aching, I'm spending a good 2 to 3 hours in the bath every day anyway, and still smelly. So like, yeah, I can smell it. He can't smell it, but I can smell it. And that, I've never been smelly, but I bath a lot. I'm not somebody who should even have the opportunity to become smelly. But yeah, a little bit smelly, guys. And last but not least, to top it off, hairy. Getting hairy in places that I was not previously hairy. Yeah, got a little bit of a hairy belly going on now. So, I'm sexy times.
And thighs, you said.
Yeah, my upper thighs. Now, some women have slightly hairy upper thighs anyway. I just never have. But, like, the very tops of my thighs, I was just sort of in the bath. I was like, bloody hell! Like, that's hairy enough for me to need to shave that. I'm not going to, because I don't want to have to start shaving my entire
It's like a
lower
sort of
half.
soft, downy hair, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's not like thick, coarse.
No, but it's not. It's there when it wasn't previously, and that's unnerving.
Apparently, though, it's all going to fall off.
Yeah, I told my friend that, and I was just like, oh, well, here's my latest on list of things I didn't know happened to you when you were pregnant. I'm hairy as fuck. And she was like, oh yeah, that happens. What's even worse, sort of a few weeks after that you give birth, suddenly all of this excess body hair all starts falling off. So I'll shed like a dog in summer. So yeah, so I hope you think that I'm glowing and sexy and radiating this sort of mother-like goddess sort of energy, because I feel like a swamp witch. Yeah, so I just want you to prepare yourselves, guys, because it's bonkers. It's a real roller coaster, and yeah, not all of it all that fun. But you know, it is what it is. Here's another one that I also want to mention, which is quite a distressing one, but it isn't anything to panic about. But I will sort of mention it because it is common, and when it happened to me, it terrified me. But you can have a little bit of spotting, which means tiny little bits of blood. Which obviously you see that and you go, oh shit, miscarriage is kind of immediately where your brain goes. Not the case. Calm down. Basically, it's not really anything to worry about unless the amount is significant, which for me it hasn't. It's literally happened maybe 4 or 5 times on different days, and literally sort of after you use the loo, it's like, oh, a little bit of blood, and then nothing more. But yeah, if there's pain, like sort of period pain or cramping, or if there's a lot of it, then that's definitely of concern. It's still worth mentioning it to midwife or anything, but essentially if it doesn't seem to escalate, then it's kind of normal. Now, sorry to get all sort of female anatomy on you, but you know, it's a baby block, it's gonna happen. For me, the reason why that's probably happening is partially something that I had anyway. Back in the mists of time, I was on a different, obviously I've not been on it for a while, pregnant, but I was on a different form of contraception. Now, I used to be on the combined oral contraceptive pill, which is basically, it's a mixture of estrogen and progesterone, which you take and you have a week off where you have your period, and you just take that sort of 3 weeks at a time. I was having that, I'd been fine on it for years, and then suddenly I started to have spotting, just as general day-to-day life, and it was happening more and more often, to the point where I was like, oh, that's quite common, that's happening quite a lot, I should probably mention that, because it might mean I need to smear or something and have a little look into it. Basically, what was happening there was my cervix was aggravated due to high levels of estrogen. So there was slightly too much estrogen in my system, which was making my cervix a bit angry. And a little bit bleedy. So what is probably going on for me and my particular cause of spotting is that the extra estrogen that's in my system because I'm pregnant has kind of given me an angry cervix. So it's aggravated. I've pissed it off. Sorry. So yeah, I've got a manly cervix that doesn't like too much estrogen. So there you go. So that's probably what that is. And there's lots of other very benign and sort of nothing to worry about causes that could cause a little bit of spotting. It's something to keep an eye on, but not to panic about. It's really common. So yeah, but it's a scary one. That's probably the only one I've had that has been like, oh God, that's bad. Whereas all the other symptoms I've had have been like, oh, these are grim to go through, but are good because they're pregnancy symptoms. But yeah, I thought that was probably worth mentioning because that's something that could panic someone if they're going through it. Still, with any of these, anything like this, talk to your midwife, talk to your GP. As my midwife recommended to me, don't Google it, which I Google everything. But yeah, you can see sort of nightmare stories. Just talk to your midwife. They will put your mind at ease, and if they need to have a look, they'll have a look. It's all good.
Speaking of things that might panic someone,
yes,
I wouldn't mention on here, we have been the last few weeks watching The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh yeah, I don't recommend that as viewing for a pregnant lady, but I
Particularly if
am
you're
really
anxious.
enjoying it.
Yes, that's it. If you're of an anxious disposition at all, don't watch that, particularly during pregnancy. And it was her choice, and she's seen it before.
Yeah. I sort of
Excuse me.
forgot
Sorry.
how intense the sort of there are pregnancy and birth sort of stories throughout, not just with the main character, but with a few characters, and quite a lot of them quite sad. I don't know why I did this to myself, but my mood's been also kind of all over the place.
Because I should say, at any point, if you were like, oh, this is too much, I can't deal with this right now, we would have stopped. I've not been forcing this through. Well,
if
you
anything,
chose
it's
this.
been me sort of being like, up for Handmaids? I think it's because I'm in like a slightly prone to be anxious and like mindset, and so there's certain days where I don't want anything too fluffy. I kind of want to have like almost wallow in it, but just be like, oh, things aren't this bad. Like, I think it's a weird catharsis of sort of like, oh, this is awful, which means that my current situation is actually fine, I think is what's going on there. My mood's been a little bit all over the place, but that again, it's hard to be perky if you have literally been in bed for a week because you feel so sick. So there have been days when I've been a bit low, and days when my anxiety has been sort of there. But again, I think it's reasonable to be a bit anxious. So it's just trying to keep the balance of, is this reasonable anxiety? Or is this like getting into sort of unhealthy levels of anxiety, and trying to temper that? Because thankfully I've got not thankfully I've got the past history, but because I've got the past history with quite serious anxiety and depression, I'm quite in tune with it. So I can be like, this is starting to go down the rabbit hole, so I need to sort of use some of my techniques to sort of climb back out. I don't think at any point it's been of a sort of worrying degree. I think it's been fairly reasonable. Sort of like, I think it is daunting. It's quite a scary thing, and like your body changing and being in pain and sort of being uncomfortable and feeling rough. Like, that's all fair reasons to feel a bit down. But then you also start like sort of beating yourself up because like, I shouldn't feel down. I should essentially be 100% ecstatic all the time because this is such a beautiful miracle. But I'm like, yeah, but I want to be sick constantly, and I feel tired and sore, and that takes its toll on your mood. My mum has just arrived, about to drop the dog back in, so maybe that's probably a good point to end it there, unless there was any more you wanted to cover. I can always pause it, but we will need to let the dog back in.
Well, we didn't show the scan, did we? But maybe we could save that for do one tomorrow and do another edition, because we...
Well, I won't promise tomorrow, but we'll do another one soon.
And it'll depend on when we're putting them out anyway, so it might not be tomorrow for you either, but we'll, you know...
When these come out, actually, I think we will probably stagger them a day each, so it'll be tomorrow for you and not for us, possibly, but who knows. So, thank you for tuning in, guys. That's been an update. Sorry it's been so long. Hopefully now, as I'm going into second trimester, I'll be turning into sort of feeling a little bit better and able to do these a little bit more frequently, fingers crossed. But yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
That's the doorbell that says goodbye.